Hello, my name is Andrew Peters and I'm Minister of Music here at Second Presbyterian Church in St. Louis. Today I thought some of you might want to see our fine Schantz organ up in the rear gallery of the church. For those of you who've not been here before in this wonderful building, just a couple quick things. It was designed by architect Theodore Link, and it has many beautiful Tiffany stained glass windows. It's a wonderful space for worship, for both music and the spoken word, and also a fine space for hymn singing with members of our congregation. We also offer concerts here on our Couts Music series. This organ was built by the Schantz Organ Company of Orrville, Ohio in 1965. This organ was a gift of Mary Brooks Holmes, who was a member of Second Presbyterian Church. In 2012, the church restored the inside of the sanctuary, and at that point we removed the pipes from the organ and had them all sent to Orrville for restoration work. And later in 2015, Schantz Organ Company came back and removed and restored the organ console and did updates to it, and also added a new stop on the organ. Come on, let's go upstairs and see the organ up close. Good, there you are. Thanks for coming up here with me. As you can see, this is kind of the back way the choir comes up here every Sunday after the processional hymn. Well, let's come on in here. You have to actually walk through the organ to get inside the balcony. After you. Now in here, we're walking through the inside of the organ, and you can see a few parts of the organ. Down here we have wind lines that supply the air from the blower to the different parts of the organ. Here you can see a tremolo apparatus, which we'll talk about later, and this is one of the wind chests. And if you look down there, you can see the bottoms of some of the pipes, and you may also be able to see, if you come back here, up into this part of the organ, you can see some of the pipes. And you'll notice this ladder here, right below that, is where the organ tuner and organ technicians go up and down to tune and make different tweaks to the organ. Oh, there you are. I was afraid you got lost. Keep coming along. Just mind the step here so we don't go visit the hospital at this time. Up here is where the choir sings most of their services. And we have the organ pipes and the organ console. While you're getting situated, I'm going to put on my organ shoes. These are special shoes that I have to wear when I play the organ. They have large heels, and they have very thin leather here so that I can feel the pedals and don't have to look as much. So I'm sitting here at the organ console, which controls all these pipes. This organ has 60 ranks of pipes, and if you want to see what a rank looks like, come over here close to this part of the organ here, and if you look down, you can see how the pipes are lined up like soldiers, and that's where the term rank comes from. So this organ has 60 ranks and also has 3,275 pipes. Organs, pipe organs like this have different types of pipes. Some are made out of wood and some are made out of metal. And primarily what you're looking up there, you can see the metal ones. Now why don't you come back over here to the console and I'll show you a few things over here. This is where the organist sits to play the organ to control all the different stops and pipes. And if you come a little closer, you'll be able to see that we have a bunch of different keyboards here. Each keyboard on an organ is called a manual. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 manuals, and also there's another keyboard down below where I play with my feet. This pedal keyboard or pedal board has 32 pedals, And then up here, each manual has 61 keys. And each manual controls a certain part of the organ. So up here is the Rückpositiv. Rück, from the German word meaning back, plays the pipes just behind me that you saw a bit ago. And I will point out at this moment that you see these red boxy things. Those are wooden pipes. And you can see also at the top here these wooden stoppers sticking out. Those stoppers are used when the organ is tuned to change pitch. But these pipes here can be painted different colors or can be just left their natural wooden color. Then this next manual here is called the swell, and in this organ it's controlled up there behind those little shutters. We'll talk about those shutters later, but you can see I'm opening and closing them. And that's the swell division of the organ. Then the next manual here, this is called the grate, and the pipework over here extended on the right and over on the left are both portions of the grate on this organ. Then behind that, since you're already looking over there on the left, you see more shutters that I'm shutting behind. That's the choir division, and that's played with the lowest manual on this particular organ down here. And I should point out, since you're very interested in the different parts of the organ here, right below that beautiful stained glass window, that is the pedal division of this organ. This particular organ has two of its divisions enclosed. And again, you see me wiggling the shutters on that division. And that helps the organist control volume when playing. So if you had the shutters all the way closed on that box, the sound is a little softer. And then as I open it up, it should get louder. And then likewise on the choir, on the other side, we have the same thing. Having some of your divisions enclosed is very helpful, especially when accompanying choirs, soloists. It just gives you a lot more options. Now let me show you may be saying, well, how do you take different stops if they're on all these different keyboards and combine them? And on organs, we do that with things called couplers. So come a little closer, and I'll just show you we have a rail of coupler stops. All of these tabs here allow you to take different stops from different manuals and combine them. So I could take things from the swell and put them down here on the grate so that I'm playing different portions of the organ at the same time. You also might be asking yourself, if you haven't fallen asleep yet, what all these buttons do here. And these are called pistons. And what these allow the organist to do is to preset different options in case you need to make a split-second change in sound while you're playing. So let's say you want something soft at the beginning of a piece like this. So I'm going to set that on General 1 here. So I do that by holding the Set button down here while simultaneously pressing the general piston I want that on. And then you'll see when I press that, I get the exact combination. But then I might need something much different a couple measures later in a piece, so I can set that on General 2. So then I just press that. And that gives you the ability to quickly change stops. Some composers tell you what stops they want you to use in a piece and are very specific. Other composers do not tell you, but you have to use your own sense of things and knowledge of the composer and perhaps organs that she or he played on at the time. The other thing you may have noticed on here are all these different numbers. Now, all these marked at 8 are what you would also think of as piano pitch or regular pitch. But organs are essentially physics machines. If you take an open-ended tube and cap it, it goes up an octave. So an octave higher than an 8, and I'll show you the 8 here. If you go up an octave and pull out a 4, you'll see it went up a whole octave, and then go to the 2, and it's up another octave. And you can also go up another octave to a 1 foot. We do have a 1 foot pipe on our root positive right over here. Now this number comes from the length of the lowest note in that rank. So if I pull out this 8-foot principal and play that over in the swell, if you measured the length of that pipe at the lowest note, it would be 8 feet long. Again, the only exception to that is you can cap a pipe. So if you cap an 8-foot long pipe, it'll sound at a 16-foot level. The pedal division has a lot more 16s because they're what give us the bottom to the organ. And on this organ, that 16-foot principal is right up by that window on the left and on the right. You can see the pipes are very large up there. So the bigger a pipe, the lower the sound will be. Just as the shorter the pipe, the higher the sound will be. Now there's all sorts of different families of sound on organs. The typical sound that people associate with organ are called principals, and that's what people think of when they think of church. So those are your principal sounds. We have a very nice principal over here in the grate, and then it contrasts nicely with the principal up there in the swell. So those are principal sounds. We also have lots of flutes, and those on this organ are really, really nice. We have this gorgeous flute on the grate, which will come over from this side to you. We also have another flute on the grate an octave higher. We have several flutes in the swell. And then some of these flute pipes, because this organ was built in 1965, have a little chiff on them, and that's a little attack before the sound. So maybe you can hear how that sounded like it was going t-t-t. But then this red rank of pipes over here has the biggest chiff of all on this organ. So flutes are beautiful as solos, or you can use them together. We could couple all the flutes together on this organ, and we would get this sound. These are just the 8-foot flutes. We also have a couple strings on this organ, and they're a little narrower in sound and more direct. We have 2 strings on this organ, and you hear that one is softer. And then each of these strings has a rank of pipes that goes with it called a celeste. And a celeste is tuned so that it's just off just a little bit, so that when you use it with the string, it gives this little shimmering sound. So let me demonstrate in the swell. This is just the regular string. And here's the celeste. And you may be able to hear that that's just a little bit higher than this one. So if you put them together, you get that warmer sound. Same thing, we have a gorgeous celeste, although it's very quiet in the choir over here. And again, you could couple those together. So those are really very useful. And then we have some more color stops called reeds. There's a whole family of stops called reeds, and some of them are loud trumpets. We have an oboe. We have a bassoon. And over here behind me, we have a chrome horn. And there's also some reeds in the pedal which give bottom to the ensemble when you're playing hymns and pieces. But here's the 16-foot trombone. And we even have another rank that goes even below that, which sounds a little funny alone. Which sounds a little obnoxious on its own, but put together underneath an ensemble, and that gives a nice bottom to the whole ensemble. So let me just play a little bit, something short here, which is just using just some principals and flutes together. Some swell reeds with the box closed so we can get a crescendo. We also have two little accessories on the organ. One is called the Zimbelstern, and that's a set of bells that spin around in a circle like this. So this is the Zimbelstern when I pull the drum out. And you may say, well, that's a little silly, why do you have that? But that's useful on some hymns like... Just gives a little shimmer to the top. And then if Don Beimdeek is paying attention at the moment, we also have chimes. No one is quite sure why this organ had a set of chimes in the back. They seem to never have been hooked up, and that was one of the things that was taken care of in this restoration. But these are golden tubes that are struck with hammers, just like orchestra chimes. And that's another wonderful stop to have for some pieces, some hymn introductions. And as you heard, those chimes can certainly linger for a while. They resonate a lot, and it's nice to have them enclosed in the choir division over there. A really loud stop we haven't talked about is way at the top of the organ case on both sides, and that's called the Trumpet Angemon. And those are the pipes that stick out to the congregation. So bear with me, I'll just play a couple notes. I don't want to blow out your speakers, but it's super loud. And this is useful for solo playing, especially in a trumpet tune for weddings or church services, and is a wonderful addition to the organ. I realized that when you first came up here earlier, I mentioned the tremeloes, and I forgot to show you those, so I want to do that quick. But a tremolo just shakes the air supply a bit, so you get a little jolt to the sound. So this is what the swell sounds like regular. And then with the tremolo, so you can hear it gives that little shaking to it. And those can be handy, especially for silent movies, but also in some pieces, even just alone on a single stop can be very pretty. I'll put the tremolo on with the oboe here. And with it off, it would be. So you hear it just gives a little coloring to that. So this is a wonderful organ, and I hope you've enjoyed your little quick tour of it. It's very versatile, and I'm so pleased that this congregation was willing to use the original builder to restore it. Schantz has been in business for ages, and it was wonderful to have them work on the instrument they had built. And I don't take it lightly at all to have access to this very expensive piece of church property. If this organ had to be built again this very day with the same specification of stops, it would cost approximately $1.4 million to do that. So it's a privilege to play this instrument, and I thank the church for their fine stewardship of it. Thanks for coming up here, and hope to see you soon.